Alright guys, today we're going to be going over week 6. I'm going to try to do this one a little bit quicker than the last video that ended up being, I think like 12 plus minutes. So if you read the blog that I have for Squirrely News, my biggest upset that I would say from this game would probably be the Jets. I absolutely cannot believe how just completely dominated they got by San Diego. That being said, picks for this week, I want to emphasize that I don't usually go off of the success or failures of the previous week. That's not a strategy that I like to use because there's a lot of weird shit that can happen when a week turns around, especially when a team gets back in the locker room. Sometimes I'll use that emphasis, but I don't like going off the success. However, quarterback pick this week, I'm going to be going with Philip Rivers, guys. He's been doing way too good this year, and to be going up against Oakland this week, I don't see him giving up a whole hell of a lot of a disadvantage, if you will. Oakland's gotten creamed. They're 0-4 right now. I don't think that this is going to be the game that they end up going 1-4. I think they're going to end up dropping to 0-5. They've had a lot of time since last week was their bye week, but they're not going to be coming back from that. I think Philip Rivers is going to completely eat them alive. For running backs, I'm going to be going again with DeMarco Murray. Now, a lot of people are probably going to sit back and question this one and go, really, against Seattle? Yeah, I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray against Seattle. And the number one reason, and this will be the same with another pick that you guys are going to see below as I continue on, is that the Cowboys right now are kind of this Cinderella comeback story this year. Everybody was talking shit about them. Nobody had faith in them. And because of DeMarco Murray, they are coming back. There's been a lot of changes I've talked about in some of the other videos. It's a huge story, and every week I'm seeing these massive articles coming out to where like nobody can believe that they've won the next game, the next game, and the next game. Seattle is going to be the make or break because the Cowboys get this almost every year where they start building this momentum and then it comes crashing down on them. And they have actually one of the easiest uh, schedules this year. Some of the teams they're going up against, like they'll definitely probably get a win against Jacksonville. Everybody knows that. Jaguars are a horrible team. Sorry if you're a fan of them, but Seattle is going to be the team that they have to win against if they want the respect to continue. That being said, they're going to throw everything that they have at this game. They're going to put every star player that they have. They're going to be forcing everybody to get out there. This is going to be the game this might as well be a wild card game for the playoffs, guys. The Cowboys care probably more about this than people think. After last week, their entire stadium was filled with the opposing team's players. That's the second time that's happened this year. The first game they played in Arlington, Texas, right by Dallas, their home territory. The entire stadium is practically dominated by the 49ers. Now, this last game, it's almost entirely dominated by Texan fans. Uh, they're not going to tolerate that. They need to feed off their momentum. Besides that, the guys had a 100+ yard game every single time. So even though Seattle has a good defense, I don't see them being able to stop DeMarco Murray, especially when we're going into a game where he is going to be relied on probably more than ever. My second choice coming down is going to be a little weird one. I don't think a lot of people are probably going to think that I would pick somebody from Miami, but I'm actually going to be going with Lamar Miller. The main reason is because he's healthy and he's been putting out decent numbers. I'm going to say this guy's name wrong, I always do, but Noshone, yeah, I believe that's how you say it, Noshone, is going to be out for another week. Or I'm sorry, another 4 weeks. And I forget what his injury was, but it was like a back or a knee or something like that. And he's always been the Miami Dolphins' main runner. When you look at the fact that Miami's going up against Green Bay, which has a horrible run defense, they're going to be relying on the run game. They're going to be pulling on basically their second standing running back, which is going to be Lamar Miller. I see him putting up big numbers against an otherwise kind of easy Green Bay run defense, guys. I think Green Bay right now is allowing on average 124 yards a game. That's what I read just yesterday. So keeping that in mind, what team wouldn't go up against them sending everything they have? And with their star runner out, they're going to rely on the next guy that's going to be Lamar Miller. Is he going to be get the most numbers for the weekend? Who knows? But I think he's going to be throwing up some good numbers. Now moving on to wide receivers, I've got a lot of options here this time, but I stick by my same rule of sticking with pairing up at least one wide receiver with my quarterback. So I'm going with San Diego, and I'm going to be with. I really wanted to go with Floyd, but he's questionable. I think he's got he's got the thigh injury. That's right. So I'm going to be going with Allen and Eddie Royal this week. They're not a lot of cash, so you're going to kind of get to save a little bit. But with Floyd, there's a chance he might get back in the game. He's listed as questionable, but with how expensive of a player he is, with the fact that he's a star player, guys, I don't see them putting him in the game for very long. If he gets out there, they're going to pull him right back out as soon as it starts turning into something that's questionable. They're not going to want to lose their main guy. So, all right. And sometimes it's easier to use a search function than it is to scroll down the list, especially when you're tired like I am. Uh, all right. Now, for my last wide receiver choice, I'm actually going to be flip-flopping this depending on how the week progresses. I'm going to be paying very close attention to our boys down in Arizona because I think that's going to be an interesting game. Now, I really want Larry Fitzgerald. I'm going to say that right now. I really want Larry Fitzgerald. But the problem is, he's probable. And I don't know if I'm too comfortable getting him when he's still dealing with an injury. So what I'm probably going to be going with, unless that probable changes and Mr. Larry Fitzgerald ends up improving, is I'm going to be going with Michael Floyd. Washington has been giving up a lot of numbers this year, guys, way more than they should have for what they were able to do last year. Arizona, on the other hand, despite having Carson Palmer out, has been putting up decent numbers and been kicking some serious ass. I see this being a high scoring game, possibly for Arizona. It could be another blowout. We've seen a lot of those so far this year. As far as tight ends, guys, I'm sticking with the exact same plan that I had last week. Jason Witten, the Dallas Cowboys. He's under 6,000, which makes him, in my opinion, an affordable choice considering that Thomas is 8,200. I don't really see a tight end being worth 8,200. Jason Witten, like I said last week, he's best friends with Tony Romo. But besides that, he's one of the best tight ends in the game. He's been playing longer than probably any tight end that's out there right now. That makes him old and susceptible to injury. But you got to think about the fact of the same thing with DeMarco Murray. When you go into a game against Seattle, when you've got to get the numbers up, you're going to be relying on your most valuable assets. That's going to be Jason Witten. When you can get him open, you can get him the ball, he's going to get yardages. Uh, you're going to need somebody like Jason Witten out there against Seattle. They're going to be keeping him in the game. They're going to be relying on him. Jason Witten, Dez Bryant, DeMarco Murray, and Terrence Williams. Those are going to be the four targets that you're going to see Romo going after all game. I guarantee you. Unless one of those guys gets injured, which is always a possibility. All right. Now, I always like to try to save a few bucks in the kicker realm, guys. So we're going to go way down to the bottom, and I'm going to do something that I probably will never do again. And I'm going to be going with Tennessee Titans player, Mr. Ryan. That's probably going to be an extremely high scoring game or an extremely low scoring game that's going to turn into a kickoff. But neither team has done very well this year. Tennessee's obviously the better choice. Uh, Anybody who doesn't understand that, you guys should just go Google as the week progresses, and you'll see articles popping up that I'm sure are going to favor the Tennessee Titans. That being said, I don't really try to get a whole lot of points off my kickers. That's where I try to save money so I can dump an extra 100 where it needs to be for my other guys. Now, defense, last topic of the day. I'm going with the Broncos, guys. Put it simple. After the Jets got creamed, I kind of feel it's the safest bet. That goes against what I said earlier, where I don't really like going off of the previous week's activity. But the Jets' number one weapon is the run game. Pretty much everybody knows that. And so far this year, the Broncos have kept their run defense stellar. Okay, they're only averaging about 63 yards or 62 yards lost per game. Okay, now you're taking a team that is nowhere near the level of the Broncos. Okay, they may be at a on their own home turf. But nice thing about the Jets, if you guys don't know this, is they technically, just like the Giants, don't have a home turf. Two teams share the same stadium, so that at-home advantage might not necessarily play out to an at-home advantage. Either way, you're looking at a well-funded, well-trained team. Okay, that just picked up this year. What was it? Ware from the Dallas Cowboys, who is a great defensive player. Okay, I just don't see the Jets being able to pull this out. I'm gonna just leave it at that to cut this video short. When you're going up against, when your number one weapon is a run, and you're going up against a team that's stopping at a 63-yard average, and you don't have a great passing game, I don't see you doing very well, especially after coming off a slaughter from the previous week. They're going to be trying to train their asses off this week. There's a good chance they're probably going to go in tired. Uh, their main runner is still out with an injury, I believe. It's just not going to be a decent game. There might be a couple of changes that I make by the end of the week, primarily with the Arizona game, but this is the picks that I'm thinking are going to probably be the best. Might eyeball a couple other games like the Cincinnati and Carolina game, but for right now, guys, this is going to be the primary strategy that I'm going with. I hope it helps. I do want to just give a brief disclosure. I'm not suggesting that this is the best lineup that you guys should probably go with. I'm just suggesting that this is the lineup that I'm going to go with after the research that I do, which is a multiple step process. Anyways, guys, I hope this works out for you, and good luck in your games.